What is up, guys? Evan Aldo here. If you enjoy the content, leave a like and check out the free Aldo Empire Discord down below. Wanted to give you guys kind of a more general update right now on Bitcoin, Ethereum, kind of the market in general, and how I feel. Haven't talked about it too much, but how I feel about the SEC going after a lot of people. So, the main thing like I like to look at here is, I like to look at, I think Jason Casper has said this a lot too, and I like to look at the eyes of the technicals through the fundamentals, or vice versa. I forget which one is which, but if you look at the main pattern here, and this is I talk about this a lot, and I think it's important to talk about. You have this double bottom in this bear market in 2015. You got this double bottom in this bear market in 2019 into 2020, 2018 into 2020, let's say. This one really, these were both actually 2015. And then it kind of makes sense to kind of do the same general thing here. This one was more spread out than this one. My guess is it might be, I'm just curious about the actual like length that it would be from, let's say that bottom to, that would be interesting. That would be for, if it's like that would be a big crash down pretty quickly. It could happen with all the SEC stuff, but I think it's going to be more, repetitive, indicative of something like a drop down like this, or a more gradual kind of drop down like that. That was choppy. And if you really zoom in on some of these accumulation years, like 2019 or 2015, like it's choppy. I mean, this doesn't look like anything too crazy, but this was a 40% jump. And then, this isn't even counting the pandemic or anything. And then this was a 35% just drop all over the course. That was October to November, all over the course of essentially 1 month. Pretty wild, pretty choppy of a year, I will say. And, you may see more type of stuff like that. You may crash down to 20 again and then jump back up to 26 and then crash down to 18 or 17 in September or something. This could be a roller coaster. So, get ready. These are some fun times. I mean, it's always volatile. It's always kind of crazy. If you look at the 3-week here, I mean, I was looking at this time frame a lot because it looks pretty bearish overall. I mean, how would you approach this if you saw this on like the 15-minute or the 30-minute or the 4-hour? Money flow coming out, almost went into the red right there. Had a jump up, but then, VWAP coming down. You're about to get a trigger wave right there. Overall, the macro on this would generally be more bearish. You do have the monthly too, coming down with the VWAP, money flow, generally down. The same kind of deal here. And, I think this might be the first time where we finally touch the money flow from the green to red, maybe towards the end of the year. Note that we could have bottomed out before then. You know what I mean? We could hit 18 or 17 and still potentially go into the red after. That's how big the time frame is. So don't let it scare you too much. The big comparison, I do a lot of weird stuff, look at weird time frames. I don't know if it's that beneficial. I think it is because you at least have a little bit of an advantage. On the NASDAQ, after the dot-com bubble, I should show you the NASDAQ, but just take my word for it. I'm too lazy to put it up right now. Money flow coming out, where you bottomed out with the NASDAQ after the dot-com bubble was when this money flow got into the red, I believe. And no, I know, when this money flow got into the red, September, October is where that could potentially happen. Everything is kind of pointing at some type of bottom, at some type of at least big buying opportunity for the long term in September, October, towards the end of the year. A lot of things are really, really, really pointing at that. And I think that's important to keep our eye on here. That's what I really think. And ultimately, what we want to look at too, I mean, if you come down here on your 3-day money flow coming out, similar to kind of that area, that was a big jump up, but then that's kind of the thing here. Like, it's a big jump up, but then kind of reality hits as you come down. I mean, if you're a good trader and you rode that up and then got out, you would have done very well. I remember I was around, this was when I was first starting out on YouTube. I was trading before then, but we did pretty well riding this up and then actually shorting a lot of this down throughout this area. Not to toot my own horn, but it was a pretty nice area. A lot of fun in these areas, good times, kind of nostalgic. But I would probably compare it obviously more to 2019. And if you're kind of like at an area like this in terms of money flow, where would you end up? That would be nice. Like in 18, that would be like clockwork here. A nice higher double bottom, like 18K. I think regardless of what happens, look, I mean, people, even if I have lower predictions, even if I say I think Bitcoin can make a double bottom or maybe even go lower, make a lower low with a bad recession or something, I still think it's a good time to DCA in. As long as this remains in the red. And I'm planning on, I started DCAing when this first went through red in December, held off a little bit, started up again when this went back in the red. That's just my strategy based on here. And I'm planning on going until around December, maybe January. But when we get towards the end of the year, this is like big information. When we get towards the end of the year, I'm planning on converting some over to ETH. Depending on how things go, depending on how high Bitcoin dominance gets, those type of things. But ultimately for altcoins and ETH, I just don't see a reason right now, considering Bitcoin just keeps outperforming them, and I think it will continue to do so, as it did in this area, and then kind of bottomed out a lot against a lot of the alts. A lot of the alts bottomed out against Bitcoin, I believe, in September. So, yeah, that would have been a good place. I mean, a lot of them where they really bottomed out against Bitcoin was around here. I mean, if you look at this, but the thing is, like, that you would have had to buy the alts at the exact right time there. So it wasn't like, I just want to show you guys, like, if you take the good examples, probably Cardano, like, you know what I mean? Like, no, it wasn't even the bottom here. I thought, where was the March of 20? No, it wasn't even. It was just still in that general period of like DCing and so that's kind of my my area. I mean, how long was this? This is from August to March, and that's a good let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. 7, 8 months is kind of the magic number, I think, in a lot of this. 7, 8 months is kind of the magic number, I think. And ultimately, I think you're going to do something like this. It would be a good sign. It would be kind of bearish on Cardano if you were to, or a lot of the alts for that matter, if you were to kind of come down or make a lower low than here. I would hope for kind of somewhere around here, a little bit higher, make a higher high. That would be nice. There's a lot of blood diamonds here. It's not too often you see that many. What I'm also thinking, I know it's just Cardano is one I'd plan on getting in. There's other ones at smaller caps I think will outperform it, like Cosmos and Chainlink. I don't know if Chainlink is on that list. That's the SEC's qualifying as securities. I don't know if it's going to mean that much anyway. And I do think that Binance, a lot of the Coinbase, they have a lot of money to throw at lawyers to fight this, and they're obviously going to settle or something. But I think it's going to be regulation's going to pass. I don't think this is going to make any of the coins listed go to zero or anything like that. I think we're just getting the FUD we need. We're getting close to that area. I don't think we're right there just quite yet, but I think we're getting close to that area to kind of get into the altcoins, kind of get in the altcoins for potential big gains. And if you come down to here, say your average buy-in price for Cardano is here, and then you get back up to, look at that area right there, that area right there. Say you even get close to it, right there, 500% up against Bitcoin. That's pretty good. There's still potentials to make lots of very large gains with some of the larger cap altcoins in the next bull run and outperform Bitcoin by momentous amounts, I think. Ultimately, I think so. People talk about, I'm kind of going out of order here or whatever, but people talk about obviously exchanges. Nothing has been done against CRO, against Crypto.com yet in terms of the SEC. They could be next. The SEC suing 3 people, or was it 4 people? They're suing Ripple. Yeah, they're suing a lot of people. So to add this guy on, that would be the 3rd big exchange they're suing. It would be tough on the SEC, but this is a little bit concerning, the fact that this guy, down 93, which isn't terrible for a lot of altcoins, but you're hitting this big point, and if you go under this, I don't know if that's the best thing, you know what I mean? It would be a risky play right now if you just wanted to, bet that we're going to get some type of bounce, and you absolutely might, but we're not really seeing, we're not seeing a bullish div, first of all, on the weekly, not even close to, it's not a bullish div that's going to make a higher high, but you could argue a double bottom. Does this guy just, be the sole altcoin that outperforms and comes up, right here? Probably not. That's a little bit of the concern there. So ultimately, I think the smartest thing, obviously, keep your crypto off exchanges. Bitcoin right now is the best thing to really stick with, in my opinion. And the main strategy to potentially make a ton of wealth, not financial advice, to make big gains, let's say, to make big gains is going to be in altcoins at peak fear, peak FUD, which I think will be in a few months. As soon as kind of this news dies out, as soon as crypto Twitter kind of dies out, as soon as, I think socially, like, people are going to talk about crypto less within, like, this is, people are talking about it because of the SEC, but I think the boredom and apathy is going to really hit us, into the summer, into the end of the summer. And that's when pretty much all the tourists are gone. What does that mean? That's the time to get in. That's the time when everybody's kind of given up, everybody's gone. SEC is going to stop it all. It's all doomsday. You know what I mean? That kind of view without with minus like caring, with more apathy. That's when you kind of is the opportunity to get in, I think. What's interesting here, if we want to look at, some shorter term, I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I mean, obviously, you guys know total 3 looks pretty bad. 3 week, red dot right there, technical target down at this area. I do think you're going to hit around the 200 billion area. This guy could come down, a lot in the next few months, 40 to 50%. I think a lot of altcoins will dump down around 40 to 50% in the coming months into the end of the year. Possibly. I do think it's a high likelihood. And so, yeah, and ultimately, if we look at let's look at the Dixie, and I'll do a little bit of short-term analysis on like Bitcoin and Ethereum for you, kind of show you, what I'm looking at. And this is like a toughie. This is a toughie because you have the double bottom here. Your higher time frames, I'm going to kind of lean with like the monthly green hike and ashy and the VWAP on the monthly kind of coming up. And I'm thinking we could kind of repeat something of this nature. Ultimately, that would bring us up to around, maybe in mid 2024, 130 possibly. But, the people saying that the Dixie is in trouble, people saying this is going to go down, you guys have every right to say that. Like, believe me. You guys have every right to say that. I mean, this weekly doesn't look too good. The only thing kind of promising here is, you got some gapped RSIs coming up. You may get a trigger wave downward soon. I wouldn't get too worried about this until you actually get that trigger wave, like printing or confirming this is making a lower low than where we are right now. So yeah, I think you still might be okay with this, but the 3 week is 3 days a little concerning, kind of like here though. But if you were to do, this, you could kind of repeat that, maybe make a slightly lower low. Everybody thinks this is dead at $98, and then you have a jump up. That's not impossible. People would ask, where would Bitcoin go if that happened? Man, kind of hard to say. Where would traditional markets and Bitcoin go? They'd probably come up a little bit more, probably a little bit more. I would think, yeah. I mean, unless just a lot of money goes into gold or whatever, but I don't think it would really. I think it would rally up with Bitcoin a bit more. Maybe a double top at 30. That would be a boring, or some people would new people would be into it, but yeah, it'd be kind of a boring situation. Don't know if that'll happen. I'm kind of more in the bull case on this, but we'll see. And then ultimately, I'll just show you quickly. I've talked about this so much. I mean, look at this area right here with money flow and Bitcoin dominance. The next particular stop for this is around 51%. I think you're going to get at least to 56. A lot of people are saying 60, which makes me think maybe you won't get that high. I mean, if you kind of map this out here, like if you were to, jump up into September, October, kind of like a jump like that, like, keeping the same trajectory. Look, I mean, keeping that same trajectory. You get there in October or something. After that, can it go higher? I mean, maybe, but I don't know if you're going to quite get to 60. I mean, who knows? You maybe even get higher, but I'm thinking you might make a lower low. Here. Could be wrong, though. I'm not like some crazy Bitcoin maxi, so yeah. I mean, the Wyckoff accumulation target is at 60. This target out of this channel is at 56. I would go with the less popular opinion. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to gauge people. It's hard to really gauge the exact opinion, but you know what I mean. And yeah, let's look at some more short-term stuff a little bit. I mean, Ethereum, we'll do a little bit of ETH analysis. I mean, in terms of ETH, I think it's going to get hit hard against Bitcoin with all the alts. And I think these court cases aren't going to help it. Weekly doesn't look good. I ultimately think you're going to, I don't know if you're going to go, make a lower low or whatever, but I think you're ultimately going to do probably something of this nature. And I'd say 1200 is, I know you should never, never say never say something's guaranteed, but I think 1200 is very likely here, at least. I mean, or making even a lower low into the end of the year, potentially in a recession or something. The thing you got to look at here is there's not too much. If you lose kind of the 1,000, like, and we're kind of holding on to like kind of this or like mental, psychological support here. You lose that, there's not much until this spider line, around high sixes, 700. If you lose that, there's not much until really like 350, that area. I'm not saying you're going to 350, guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're going to 350. That would be highly 92. Comparing to like Bitcoin going down, what was it, 84 last, the bear market before this one. It's definitely not impossible. Definitely not impossible. Don't get too carried away with ETH, guys. But 87. I mean, that's not impossible either. But I do think there's also a strong likelihood that you may have bottomed out or a double bottom. So don't get me wrong. I don't know what's going to happen here. I really don't. But what I can say with a high likelihood is that you're probably going to come down. You got a trigger wave on the 2-day here. Had that trigger wave. It brought us down at least a little bit on that one. I don't think this one is going to be nearly as forgiving. This is what I was talking about. Is going to be nearly as forgiving as well. I didn't even realize that one. Oh my golly, that could be a trajectory downward to the bottom here. Yeah, 1200. Yeah, and then ultimately, this 4-hour doesn't look good by any means. This is just more short-term analysis. And by the way, guys, if you want more short-term analysis and trade setups, more of the short-term stuff, check out the free Discord. There's also some premium channels in there that you guys could sign up for. It's me and 2 other pro analysts, and we provide you a lot of amazing content in there. So yeah, we have a really high win rate in there. A lot of people really love it. It may not be for you if you're not really a day trader. We do long-term analysis too, but obviously there's more to talk about when you're doing scalps and day trades and that. It is a really good community. I do long-term stuff in there too, but ultimately, it's more of the fun stuff, more of the short-term stuff. But yeah, and if you look here, you got the blood diamond right now on the 3-hour. I think that this could potentially bring us down farther. You're just bouncing around in this kind of volume range that you've been in essentially since May, and ultimately that's coming down there. If you repeat in terms of this right here for the short term on ETH, doing the short term on ETH before Bitcoin in this video, I think, but that's all right. I like ETH. ETH's a good one to do. ETH, we have a lot of fun trading. 1798, right to that point again. So, and then you break out of this, range that we're in right now, ultimately, and it would probably give you a target that's around where I did this target. Let's see if we break out of this range. Yeah, around this area, this pocket right here, 1740, 1720. So yeah. And then ultimately, money flow coming deeper, coming out there. The 10-minute would give you that same trajectory. So it does look more that likely we would come down. Also on the short term on Bitcoin here, the long term is going to be similar to kind of that ETH trajectory. Or yeah, the long term potentially for a double bottom. I think Bitcoin will outperform ETH in the coming months for obvious reasons. That's kind of it's a high likelihood. We know that. You got the technical target here. I'll just do some short-term analysis on this. And, we jumped up this morning. I had a nice long in. I did a short on that. The long, how I got that. That was kind of just basic strategy. And then we came in, we rejected harshly off of this volume area low right here, which definitely isn't a good sign for the bulls. I would say it's definitely not a good sign for the bulls. And it means that price wants to kind of come down to the technical target out of this kind of around, and really draw right, but around 24, high 24s. We know that a lot of the bulls are going to get wrecked if you go under 25. We know just psychologically there's a lot of liquidation points around here. We kind of know that. That's just what we see a lot. Also, you may get a trigger wave printing on the 4-hour pretty soon. We jumped up a little bit a little while ago, but I don't know how much that will last. Maybe a double top here or something. And then you do have the bearish div confirmed the hourly as you had a fierce rejection off of this. Sometimes things get a little bit choppy. We'll see what happens here if we could come up higher with the money flow or just roll over. I'm kind of thinking based on that fierce rejection and how ETH looks and how some of this trigger wave about to print in the 4-hour, I'm thinking we come down, but obviously anything could happen, guys. And the money flow coming out here on the 10-minute. Even the 10-minute about to get a trigger wave. even a time frame this low, I mean, it means something. You're seeing a lot of trigger waves there. I mean, ultimately, I think that's a bit more bearish, and then you'd end up here. And then if you lose this, and I mean, we lost it a couple times. We just jumped up. But if you lose the 200 weekly moving average right here at 26.3K about, that's more bearish. That means it's kind of like Groundhog Day. It means that you got 6 more weeks of winter or something like that. I think it's 6 more weeks of winter, something like that. You got some more time before you regain that 200 weekly moving average and come up or whatever, and or enter a new bull run. So that's ultimately what I'm looking at right now on Bitcoin. Got some, I still got the I don't think it was stopped out in profit, at least not yet on the long I took, so just letting that ride. It's a lot about, in terms of like trading or leverage trading, it's a lot about, you take that, you have that strategy, whatever strategy you use, you take your profits, you lock them in, you set your stop loss to your entry point, at least the way I do it, and you hedge your bets. You try to have a long trade and a short trade with locked in profits at the same time if you can. I trade ETH, I trade Bitcoin, so do a lot of different things. Obviously more info on that in the Discord, but yeah, and I do have a trading course too that a lot of people have really liked. If you want to check that out, that goes through obviously all this stuff. So check that out down below if you're interested as well. And if you guys want to trade, a lot of people are asking about exchanges. What exchange should I use now that Bybit requires KYC, all that type of stuff. You want to move your funds around. I have MEXC is pretty good because there's 0 limit fees. A new one that I've been using that's really good is FAIRDESK. The fees are a little bit higher, but you definitely don't need a VPN right now. They're not up your behind about it. They're a chill exchange. I've been really liking it. I've been doing some live streams with the exchange. So if you're interested, check out that exchange down below. If you guys sign up to either MEXC or FAIRDESK and deposit at least $200, I will give you 1 free month in the Aldo Empire VIP Discord. Just shoot me a DM on Discord once you do that and deposit the funds with your UID, and I will get you sorted. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I have right now. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and have a great night. Goodbye.